Hello, it's Sarah Berry from stampwithsarah.co.uk. Today I'm showing you a card I'm making with the All That You Are stamp set. Now this is a brand new release from the Stampin' Up! Spring Summer catalogue for 2019, and you'll find it as soon as you open the catalogue on page 2. It might be easy to miss, so don't flick over that page. This is a beautiful stamp set, and also if you are familiar with the Autumn Winter catalogue from 2018, there are some dies in that catalogue which have been carried over called the Frosted Bouquet Framelets, and they actually have 2 pieces in there which cut out these flowers. So if you turn to page 55, you'll find all the details for that at the back here. There's a couple of the framelets, and that's the information about them. And they actually cut out the flowers from the first Frost stamp set as well. So that's a great double use for your dies there. If you already have them, you can use them with this new stamp set too. I love the fonts, I love the imagery. So I'm going to show you a quick card, a different card as well. Okay, so I've got my pack here, and what you need for this is your base card, and this is crumb cake. Of course, an envelope. And for that, I've got the matching crumb cake ink. Then you need a piece of white, so I'll stick that down. I keep my Tombow in a little tea light holder, just a simple glass jar, and it makes the glue ready at the top of this Tombow all of the time for me. So I find when you lay it flat, the glue kind of settles out a little bit. So I get into the habit of putting the lid on and popping it in my jar. Okay, so that's all there, glued. And then we have a layer that will go on the top here, which is crumb cake again, and then a punch shape from the Pretty Label punch. So I'm just going to focus on this one at the moment. I've got a pack of watercolor pencils, and you get 13 different pencils in this pack. Here they are. The only one I'm using today is the white one, and that's number 13. You also need one of our blender pens. Now these blender pens are a bit like a magic pen. They have ink inside, but it's like see-through, completely clear. It's almost like there's nothing inside it, but this is a magic miracle pen, so you'll definitely need to get some of those. For this, you need to make sure you have a sharpener. I'm just going to sharpen this, so we're going to be using it a lot for this technique. There we go. Okay, so for this you will definitely need a Stamparatus, which is a stamp positioning tool. I have a piece of the grid paper down on the base here. I've got a magnet that's going to go down in this bottom corner. Now my stamp is a cling stamp, so I need to make sure, because I've got the sticker on the back, I need to make sure I'm really getting my fingernail under there and pulling this stamp with the new stickers. Now place it on roughly about there, a bit higher, and now my plate will pick up this stamp, and now I know it's in the perfect position. So the ink I'm using is the Craft Stampin' Up! Whisper White ink pad. It's a chalk based ink, and also it takes a little bit longer to dry. So you need to make sure you're really covering this. We want a nice coating of white. And the beauty of using the Stamparatus is that we can stamp over the top several times. So this is going to give us a nice outline. If it's not completely covered, that's all right. We can go back over. Really get it nice and white. So when you get your white craft ink, it will actually come uninked. That's because we don't want it sort of dripping out, say, when it's being delivered. And to be honest, that's really clever, because we don't want ink when we open our box. So you will also get the refill. So when you first get it, you just go over your sponge backwards and forwards, smooth it out with a bone folder or a ruler or something like that, and then your ink pad is ready to go. Okay, I'm going to keep this in position. If you notice, I've lined this up with this line, so if it does move, I know where to pop it back. Now this is where you bring it in your white watercolor pencil, and all you're going to do is colour in this image. You need to press quite hard. It isn't going to affect the base of your stamp apparatus. It's not going to mark it at all. Like that, and you need to continue doing that all over the image. Do not worry that you're kind of rubbing out or colouring over a bit of these details. We can fix that a bit later on. So this technique works with any dark card, really. Would look amazing in a deep grey, dark greys, and also black too. And I like to do this because it gives you a use for your white watercolour pencil, which is a little bit different to just using it as to lighten an image. Okay, so far so good. Remember to continue pressing really firmly. Okay, now when it comes to these petals, colour them in separately and try and follow the shape of the petal. And remember, it's important not to move this too much. We must remember where our paper is. We've got to get it in the same position for our next step. So this card's nearly done. It's so clever how we can add the white down as a base. It really does look like lace. And if you have the patience to do this several times, you could stamp over a larger piece of cardstock and make your own pattern paper or patterned cardstock, and maybe turn it into a box, so you've got this gorgeous lace effect all the way around a box perhaps. Okay, I'm going to leave these little flowers. I quite like that they are free of colour. Now that's really all you do. What you can do if you wanted to is add a bit of colour at this stage. So I could go in with my green and add colour, and eventually you would build it up to look something like this. So this card has had the white stamped down, coloured with the white pencil, and then over the top I've added a bit of green. So I could do that very subtly like this. And then you go in with your blender pen and really smooth that colour out. So I would go into this image, and it gives you a really subtle, soft pastel sort of chalk effect. So that's one idea, but for this card, to create just the white image, we've stamped it with the white, coloured it in with the white watercolour pencil, and now I'm going to stamp over the top again. And this is why I keep saying it's important not to move this. So we're going back over with our stamp. So we've effectively now got 3 layers. Oh, it's beautiful, I love it. We'll do that again. But yeah, as I say, you can do a combination of just keeping it white or adding your colour like this. So exactly the same, it's just this card doesn't have the stamped layer back over the top. I didn't stamp over the top of it again. So you can see how beautiful they both are. I'm not quite sure which one I prefer. Okay, so that's all done. Lastly, I will just take this greeting. Now this just says just a note, and it's featured in our spring summer catalogue from the what's it called, Rooster, the home to roost stamp set. Just a note. I'm not going to stick that down quite yet, it's just drying. So while it is, I'll move it to the side and I'll show you how to stamp your envelope flaps. So I've stamped it in the same stamp, the beautiful big flower, but now in the crumb cake so it matches the card. Now all you need to do is take your grid paper, pull a piece back. This grid paper is available to purchase. It's £11 for 100 sheets like this, and it really just protects your work surface. And I know before I got this grid paper, my area was getting smaller and smaller that I was crafting in, and I was kind of fighting for space. So now this gives me a defined area that I keep all of the other products out of the way from, and it gives me plenty of space to craft. Now before we change, I just need to clean this stamp, and to do that I'm using the chamois. So this really sits nicely onto our block E, and it doesn't matter what angle you do it at, as long as it fits. Now the crumb cake ink, stamp, get it all nice and inked up with that. And now I've bent back my grid paper, tucked my envelope in so it's just the flap showing, and now we can stamp over the top of it. And all the other ink that we don't want to get on our envelope will just go on the grid paper. It's not going to come off. How pretty. You've got to send an envelope with your card, haven't you, if you're making them. So now this is beautiful, just like this one. It just coordinates really nicely, doesn't it? Okay, so this should be dry. Let's pop some glue on it. So if you don't know, all of the products that you see today can be purchased in my online shop. And I only demonstrate with Stampin' Up products, and the products from Stampin' Up cannot be purchased in shops. You can't go along to the high street and pick any of these products up, nor on online shopping channels either. So you can get Stampin' Up products in the UK through demonstrators, and I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I have a website where you can go and get lots of inspiration from what I make from Stampin' Up. So the Stampin' Up products are featured in the annual catalogue and also the Spring Summer catalogue at the moment. If you don't have a copy and you're interested in getting a copy, please let me know and I will happily send you one. So there we go. Here's our card. So this is how you use your white watercolour pencil to create this really beautiful laced effect. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Please let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section below, and do subscribe to see future videos like this. I will speak to you and see you again very soon. Bye!